So the reason why I asked this, because when I look at, especially when I look at Indians, right? Because I think that sometimes Indians can be discriminated against, especially in Asia. Okay, so what I'm saying to you is, if they can adapt this culture that's causing them to exceed and do better, why is it that we can't adapt the same type of culture to help us? They found a way to try to they found a way to what am I trying to say, to not maneuver, but basically get over the hump. So for example, I think they experienced racism as well, especially the darker skinned Indians, right? But they said, okay, I'm gonna be the best that I can be so I can get out of that area that's down here and be moved up to up here because they need my skill. I'm great at what I do. Does that make sense? I'm kind of,
Yeah, so I hear you.
Check the back check.
I think that the immigrant experience is very different than the descendants of chattel slavery.
So,
right?
so yes, until I went to the African American Museum and found out slaves were everywhere. So they just didn't, slaves weren't just here in America. Slaves were taken to the Spanish colonies. They were taken so many different places, right? So with that being said, even, I mean, go ahead, because I know you had something to say.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So even with that, what distinguishes slavery in America than slavery in other places in the world is the disconnection from their roots, the erasure of their history, the erasure of their language, the erasure of their lineage. Slavery in other places, although it did exist and that cruelty towards Black people existed, people were able to overcome it because of their connection to their roots, their connection to identity. And I think that's something that gets overlooked. When you have that, that's the foundation for community. And when you pull those threads apart, you create challenges that other communities simply don't have.
Yeah, the difference is chattel slavery. That's what it is. Like the the brutal treatment that was given to this group of people that was on this land. And then the interesting thing is that like the people they brought over were actually skilled people. And then they used all of the skills and all of the labor from these people that they brought over. And then even when they freed them, they didn't really free them. They kept them in a box still. And they were able to continue to extract from what these people have done and created and still benefit to this day. It's ridiculous the amount of inventions that was made by people who were enslaved that can't monetize or haven't been able to use what they built because they were owned by somebody and they took that thing, patented it, and then continued to build an empire on top of it. But it's actually pretty gangster when you think about it.
Shan, did you check the back chat?
I said, yeah, I nodded my head. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so the reason why I'm bringing these questions up, because we gotta find a solution. If we just run around in circles saying what we can't do, because it sounds like a whole lot of what we can do. Okay, we need to figure out what we can do, because being at the bottom is just unacceptable for at least for me. So at this point, let's get together, put our heads together, and come up with some realistic solutions, and not sit in mediocrity, like or below that.
Well, my whole solution, this is what I thought of. I thought of when I don't know, President Trump was about to become president, when he came in, I had a thought process. Everybody was crying. All the people that I know, they was like, "Oh my God, we're going to die, and it's gonna be World War III and all this other crazy stuff," right? And I was at a church service, and we was, some people that I know, we was chilling, was having worship and stuff. And one of the guys there was talking about how there's people in this country that don't think about nothing that happens in the election. They literally continue to operate no matter who's in the presidency. So I thought from that statement, I thought to myself, we must be able to operate outside of the system that already works. And an easy way to operate outside of the system that already works is if we continue to do what other people do, which is barter. Hey, I got this skill, you got this skill. Let's mix these things together and then let's make something happen. And if you continue to pull your resources and stuff like that together, you know, you're able to do what you couldn't do by yourself a lot easier with a group. But the problem still remains is you need to get to the mind of the people and they need to be on one accord in order for that to work. Because a whole bunch of individuals that think like individuals in a group aren't going to be able to work together the same way as 10 people who actually care about the group and think as a group. How they're able to move is a dramatically different thing. We have to get to the mind of people, Black people specifically, as a group in order for you to be able to actually affect the things that you guys are trying to do.
Anybody else want to add to that?
I agree. We got to get to the minds. It's all propaganda programming. You got me saying.
I was just going to say, I think the answer to that is partly what Marcus usually say. There's an answer for that, but I'm talking about intergenerational. And also creating a different culture. What came to mind is what creates the foundation of culture, right? And I think is a collective like set of like, I don't know, things that we value, religion, what else? Social norms. Like, I think all of those things kind of tie into creating culture. And I think the problem now is that it's so fractured because we don't know history. History is also a part of culture as well. Because we were separated from our, I'll say, ancestral culture, and we were given a different culture. And that culture represents the idea of individualism, right? Whereas our ancestral culture was more of a cooperative, like what you were saying, Marcus, familial type of thing. And I think that will be the answer to helping our communities. But before you can get to that, some of the stuff that families are reinforcing is not good either. You know what I'm saying? So I think part of that, I know people may not agree with this, but I believe that we're broken, right? Broken people. And I do believe that what that's going to take is a lot of mental and emotional work first. I can only do as better as I can once I have my mental together, right? So I don't know how we would do that, how we can fix that part with like, therapy, or, I don't know if you can't afford a therapy, what would be the answer to that? But I think that's the part there, is creating a different kind of culture that values the things that really matter to move us forward.